Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to continue with where we left off the last time. So grab your cup of water or juice. It can be anything that you like so much, and sit back and let's continue with the story. This is going to be part 2 of chapter 1. In the last video we read the part 1 of chapter 1. So we're going to continue with part 2 of chapter 1. So sit down, lay back, and let's read. We're going to start off by reading a couple of lines from where we left off the last time. So here we read. Judy looks very healthy and happy, Nancy said quickly. So I am sure she must love it here. Mary smiled. We do the best we can on our small income. Sometimes it just doesn't suffice though. We sold some old furniture to the two men in that van you saw. I don't know who they were, but I guess the price was all right. Mary Turner thought. Went back to little Judy. She's so little now that Edna and I are able to manage with our small income. But we worry about the future. We are dressmakers, but our fingers aren't so nimble with the needle as they used to be. To tell you the truth, Nancy, at the time Judy's parents were killed, Edna and I wondered whether we would be able to take care of Judy properly. But we decided to try it, and now we wouldn't part with her for anything in the world. She's won our hearts completely. Nancy was touched by the story. She knew what was in the minds of the Turner sisters. Living costs would become higher, and with their advancing years, their own income would become lower. Unfortunately, Mary went on. Judy's parents left very little money, but they were extremely bright people, and Judy is going to be like them. She'd opt to study music and dancing and have a college education, but I'm afraid we will never be able to give her those things. Nancy said reassuringly, Judy may be able to win a scholarship or get other financial aid. Mary, finding Nancy a sympathetic listener, continued. A cousin of our father's named Josiah Crowell was to help us, but he passed away a couple of months ago. For years he used to pay us long visits and was very generous with his money. Miss Turner sighed. He always promised to remember us in his will. He loved little Judy, and I am afraid Edna and I came to depend on that in our plans for her. But he did not carry out his promise. Nancy smiled understandingly and made no comments. But she did wonder why Mr. Crowley had changed his mind. Josiah went to live with some other cousins after that. Things changed. He rarely came to see us, but he was here just last February and said the same thing, that Edna and I were to inherit money from him. He had always helped us, and it seemed strange that he should stop so suddenly. Mary Turner looked at Nancy. Maybe you know our well-to-do cousin that he went to stay with. They live in River Heights. They are the Richard Thuffens. Do they have two daughters named Ada and Isabel? Nancy asked. If so, I know them. That's the family all right, replied Mary. Nancy detected a hint of coolness in the woman's voice. Do you like those two girls? Miss Turner asked. Nancy did not answer at once. She had been taught never to gossip, but finally, she said tactfully, Ada and Isabel were in high school with me. They were never my close friends. We are didn't see eye to eye on various things. By this time, Mary Turner had selected a few items from the first aid chest. Now she went to the refrigerator for some ice cubes. As she arranged the various articles on a tray, she said, "Well, when cousin Josiah passed away, to our amazement, Richard Topham produced a will which made him executor of the Crowley estates and left all the money to him, his wife, and the 2 girls." "Yes, I did read that in the newspaper," Nancy recalled. "Is the estate a large one?" "I understand there's considerable money in it," Mary Turner replied. "Some of Josiah's other cousins say he told them the same thing he told us, and they are planning to go to court about the matter." The woman shrugged. "But I guess a fight to break the will would be hopeless. Nevertheless, Edna and I cannot help feeling there must be a later will, although as yet no one has presented it." Nancy followed Miss Turner into the living room. The cold compresses helped to reduce the swelling where Judy had hit her head on a rock. Convinced now that the little girl was all right, Nancy said she must leave. "Come to see me again soon," Judy spoke up. I like you, Nancy. You are my saving girl." "You bet I'll come," Nancy answered. "I like you too. You are a good sport." The child's great aunt profusely thanked Nancy again for rescuing Judy. The visitor had barely reached the door when Edna suddenly said, "Mary, where's our silver teapot?" "Why, right there on the tea table." "Oh, it's gone." Edna ran into the dining room. "The silver candlestick, they are gone too." Nancy had paused in the doorway, startled. "Do you mean the pieces have been stolen?" she asked. They must have been, replied Mary Turner, who was white with apprehension. "By those men who bought some furniture from us." Instantly, Nancy thought of the men in the van. "Who were the men?" she asked. "Oh, Mary, how could we have been so careless?" Edna Turner wailed. "We don't know who the men were. They just knocked on the door and asked if we had any old furniture that we wanted to sell. We will never get the silver back." "Maybe you will," said Nancy. "I will call the police." "Oh dear," Mary said woefully. "Our phone is out of order." "Then I will try to catch up to the van," Nancy declared. "What did the men look like?" They were short and heavy-set. One had dark hair and other light. They had kind of large noses. That's about all I noticed. "Me too," said Edna. With a hasty goodbye, Nancy dashed from the house and ran to her car. End of chapter 1, part 2 of chapter 1. I hope you enjoyed my reading. You enjoyed the story. There's a couple of lessons that I think we all learned from the story that I want to talk about. Well, in the first part of the story talked about Edna and Mary unintentionally accusing Nancy of running over Judy. So the lesson in this is we are not supposed to judge people by what we see, based on what we see. We don't have to be quick in judging people. And again, I also learned that we have to be kind. We have to love one another, because out of kindness, Nancy was able to save little Judy. I hope you enjoyed the story. We will talk about other lessons that we learned from the second part of the story in the next video. Have a nice time, nice day. Enjoy your day. and be blessed. Always and always love one another. Hope to see you again in my next story. Thank you, and thanks for joining me to read the story. Bye.